Hello everyone, my name is SwingPoynt and welcome to Resident Evil Resistance. This is the multiplayer game bundled with Resident Evil 3. And the point of today's video is to make you better at Survivor. I'm going to show you a bunch of tips and tricks and techniques, ideas, ways to think about the game that'll help make it so you win a lot more of your games. And don't get me wrong, this isn't going to be a basic, well, Valerie does this and January does this type of guide. This is going to be a guide that teaches you stuff that you don't know unless you've played it a bunch. It's going to be stuff that isn't explained to you. You can tell what Remedy does by reading it, but I'm going to teach you some things that you might not know about these characters. Hidden values, hidden traits, ideas on how to counter masterminds, lots of stuff like that. This is not going to be super basic tutorial stuff. So if you're new to this game, you're going to learn a ton. And if you're not new to this game, you still might learn some stuff. So let's get straight into it. And I want to talk about each survivor first and things that make them unique, hidden values about them. And then I want to start talking about little things that you can do in game with each character or with any character that'll help make it so you can counter masterminds much more effectively. Something to keep in mind is that this game has changed a bunch since it first came out, so the things I talk about today might not even be true a couple of months from now. For example, health values. Each character has their own health value. Valerie has 1100 HP, January has 1200, Tyrone has 1400, Samuel has 1300, Martin has 1100, Becca has 1100, and Jill has 1200. Now on to talking about things that are unique about each character. Valerie here, she's very bad at opening doors. She is the worst out of all the characters at opening doors. If you have anybody else on your team that is nearby you, have them open the door because Valerie's gonna waste time trying to do it compared to every other survivor. Something Valerie can do though, is she can get the door ready if she gets there first. So you see how she taps it? Every survivor is going to do that. So she can tap the door, and then that'll clear that animation for all the other survivors. So she can tap it, then Tyrone comes in and kicks it without having to interrupt himself by touching the door. And now speaking of Tyrone, Tyrone is the best at opening doors out of all the survivors. On top of that, when he does open a door, he does something that's unique to him that protects him and his team. He kicks the door open. Instead of charging through like the other survivors do, he kicks it open. So that makes you less vulnerable to bites that are sitting on the other side of the door. Another thing about Tyrone is that he has a really good bat animation. So when he's swinging the bat, he goes really fast. We've timed this out in test mode before. Tyrone is better at clearing a core with a bat than he is with a sledgehammer. He does more damage over time with the bat, and he's more efficient with his repair kits. After one core, the bat clears it faster, and it uses up less economy. As Samuel, you can use his personal skill over and over again, as long as it does not hit a zombie. This allows you to dodge guns, it allows you to get away from zombies, and it allows you to run past zombies. One other thing that's really helpful with Sam is the door games. So you'll see a lot of masterminds that do this with you. You try to open a door and then they close it on you. Sam is really good at preventing this, and I don't see a lot of people doing this. So I want you to picture a scenario where your survivor friend, let's say Becca's beating on the door and she's about to burst through it. So if you time up with your friend when she's about to burst through like this, you can stun zombies on the other side of this door and prevent door games from happening if you're playing as Sam. So picture this. Becca's about to go through the door, and right as she goes through the door, you have an angle as Sam, and then you charge in like this, and Sam will kind of automatically twist himself into the zombie that's on the other side of the door, and that'll stun the zombie that the mastermind is controlling. See how he can curve around and then stop a problem from happening there? Usually what happens if you don't do that angle on Sam, he'll sit there and open the doors, close the doors, and then he'll be able to pick on Valerie, who charged through there, which will make it so that he gets a bunch of free hits on your teammate. Something unique to Martin is that he can walk over traps. This has nothing to do with his Minesweeper skill. The Minesweeper skill allows him to run over traps. But Martin is the only survivor that can just walk on top of traps like it's no big deal. So if you open a door as Martin, and you're a little concerned that there's traps on the other side, just walk. And then this little prompt will show up and it'll tell you where the traps are, and then he can just go ahead and start disabling them. In addition to Martin being able to disable traps, if you hear the mastermind starting to manually detonate a trap, you hear that high-pitched ring, Martin can prevent that by starting to disable the trap. He can interrupt that action from the mastermind. One other cool thing about Martin that you might not know is that he has these flame mines, and these flame mines are capable of stunning bioweapons. You can stun Yottaveo doing a devour. You can stun Mr. X doing a pulverize, and you can stun Gherkin using an overkill. The shock mine is not going to do that. Some things to know about Becca. Becca also has a fast bat animation. Not sure how often you're going to use it, but she does have a fast bat animation. Other things and little tricks to know about Becca is her sentry stance. Something to know about her sentry stance is that it causes her reticle to focus in faster. And on all survivors, when the reticle is focused in, it does 50% more damage. So if you're trying to nail a really high damage shot, try to make your reticle focused. That's not specific to Becca, but Becca does benefit a lot from it with her gun skills. Another thing I don't see a lot of people do with Becca is utilizing her crouch as a way to avoid fire. Let's say this had a gun shooting at you. Well, you can just be like, okay, bye, and it can't hit you. You can also do that with emotes. So barbecue spit is something that all the characters can have. You can also use the not so pro ranger pose F, and that'll cause you to lay down. And that'll make it so you're not getting hit by anything that's shooting at you. One thing that's fun about the pro ranger pose here is that you can avoid bites. So if you lay down in time before he tries biting at you, he'll go right over the top of you. That's a little bit of a specific use case, but it is something you can do, and it has saved me a couple of times. Now on to Jill here. There's a few things about Jill. She's a pretty nuanced character. One of the things is that she just walks faster than most other characters do. Another thing is her bat animation. She has a really interesting and strong bat animation. It's not like Tyrone's, but it is just as effective. Another thing that Jill can do, I'm gonna let him bite me, is that she can kick zombies that are on the ground and make it so they can't get up. So watch this. See this guy on the ground now? If her gun's out, she can kick him down, and that'll keep him down. This will make it so they just can't stand back up. And she can just keep doing this. So this is a little perk that Jill has that the other survivors don't have. If you want to, you can do the whole roundhouse kick thing with her if you hold on to the melee button long enough. It's not super useful. I would say the kick is a much more useful option for her. Another thing that I don't see enough Jill's doing is utilizing her rockets correctly. Now everybody knows her rockets are good at blowing up a lot of creatures, but there's a few other things that you can do with it. Her rockets last a long time. One thing you can do is you can clear out a bunch of traps. And if you clear out a bunch of traps by shooting them with a rocket, you get time for every single trap. I'll show you that again later in the video with a grenade. Every character can do that, but she's really good at doing it with her rockets. Another thing I don't see enough Jill's doing is taking out a camera. A critical camera that's preventing progress. Go ahead and shoot it. It'll take down the camera in no time at all. And the other trick that I can't show you because there's no bioweapon here, but I can explain it to you, is let's say Mr. X is over there. Or let's say Nemesis is over there. Or let's say Gherkin's over there. She can time out her rockets because she has a long time with her fever skill. Very slowly. Just like that. And then that'll stun the bioweapon for probably close to 20 seconds out of his minute that he gets. Maybe a little bit longer. It takes a long time for the bioweapon to recover from a Jill rocket. So if you have the chance, go ahead and time out your rockets on a bioweapon. You'll save your team a lot of trouble. So I'm at the point in the video where I'm going to start showing you different things that you can do in a match, techniques, tricks, ideas. And I'm going to be pulling clips from twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. We stream there every single night. If you ever want to show up, links in the description. But before we do that, I want to give you an idea, a methodology of thinking when it comes to building up for characters, making builds for your mastermind or your survivor. The way I make all these builds is I read the skills and I try to make them better. For example, weapon handling. This is how we made Pyrone. Reduces melee weapon durability depletion, and attacking creatures on the ground guarantees a critical hit. Now you can watch all my other build videos if you want to get really in-depth stuff on the numbers and things that are unique to the character. But for example, with weapon handling here, if you're going to guarantee yourself a critical hit, well, let's add critical hit damage, because it's going to make your critical hits even stronger. If you're already good at reducing melee weapon durability depletion, maybe you can make it even better, to the point where it feels like it's broken. The secret to making builds in this game, chat, isn't so secret. It's literally just taking what they're good at and making it even better. Making it so it's so good that it's hard to deal with for the enemy team. And that applies not only to your survivors, but also to your masterminds. Take what they're good at and make it better. One thing you can do to make your life a lot easier is take out zombie legs. Now they're crawlers, they can't walk anymore. I'm going to show you something a little bit more unique about that, but some things to keep in mind about turning them into a crawler. If they have the region buff on, they can't be turned into a crawler. If they are a controlled zombie,
Yep,
they can't be turned into a crawler. And if they are an imposter zombie, they can't be turned into a crawler. Now, turning a zombie into a crawler isn't something I think that is brand new information. But what I think a lot of people don't know is that you can do it to Yorick. So if you manage to get a shot on Yorick before the Mastermind gets a chance on controlling them, this can make doing this objective in Area 2 a lot easier for your team. And we used to think that Regen would repair limbs. It does not. Regen only protects from limbs being broken. So if you can break Yorick's leg early, your team's going to be in a much easier spot when it comes to completing this objective. Something to keep in mind with Jan's personal skill is that it has unlimited range. So you can get him from across the map, and this can be really useful against a Nikolai turret. It could be really useful against an invulnerability anchor from Spencer, or really just a camera that you feel is getting in the way of your objective. And to keep that in mind, since it has unlimited range, there's a lot of really creative spots that you can take advantage of to take out these cameras. So feel free to explore, because there's a lot of tricky ones, and it can be useful for malwares, instant, or lockdown. And now I can't sit here and reasonably show you all the different spots where Jan can do this, but to give you an example, just look around, maybe play around in practice mode. You'll find all sorts of cool ones that can really save your team. Imagine if there's an invulnerability anchor there, and your team's trying to get through over here with a crowd of zombies. Jan can save the whole gosh darn day just by taking this one out from over here. Spend some time in practice mode. You'll learn a lot about Jan if you do so. And keep in mind, she doesn't even have to be facing the camera. It just has to be within her field of vision, which is crazy. And another crazy one that I haven't really talked about before, but if you play on PC, you can do this. You see how there's no cameras in her view? Well, if you go into your options here, you can go into your camera settings, and you can expand your field of view. If you expand it all the way, look at what she's got available to her now.
Huh. Check this out.
Can't do that on PS4, I don't think, but I know you can do it on PC, so if you're that interested, it's something you can do. Another general trick with Jan is to go ahead and time her ultimate based around an objective. So if you're about to go ahead and try to take out a core, like let's say over there, and you have EIS on, or you have camera locked on, or really whatever, use it right before you go over there. Clear yourself some time around when your team is going to start accomplishing their objective. If you just use it willy-nilly, it doesn't really have as much effectiveness. Time your objectives. Time your fever skill, and that'll do a lot for your team. And speaking of timing things, you know what lasts 60 seconds in this game? Bioweapons. So Mr. X, Gherkin, Yottaveo, etc. But you know what else lasts 60 seconds? Yellow herbs. Pop a yellow herb right when the bioweapon starts up, and unless they're grabbing a lot of people and pausing their timer that way, you're going to be protected with 30% damage reduction from your yellow herb the entire time that bioweapon is out. It's really useful against Nemesis because you know that he's not going to grab anybody. And on the topic of finding sneaky little things to do, go ahead and go through practice mode and look at where you can take out these biocores. Typically, you know, you think the game would be designed where you walk up this catwalk to go take this one out. There's a lot of tricky little spots on a lot of these maps where you can go ahead and take out biocores. And then let's say the biocore doesn't have a whole lot of health left and you're in a awkward position. There's a bunch of zombies right here, but you got to clear this objective because you guys are running out of time. Well, knowing those really good spots can really do a lot to perhaps save the day and save the game for your team. So once you're done finding yourself some creative spots for Jan, like this one right here, something you can do to go ahead and solo a door is get a flashbang ready. So you hear creatures on the other side of this door, right? What you can do is you can get the door ready.
That's locked.
So you go pop, pop. And if you take a look there, you know that your next hit is going to blast you through the door. So you can throw a grenade down and then blast through, and then you're good to walk through. No problems. And then, since you can take out legs so easy. By the way, if you're Jan, your job is to be keeping cameras off of people, right? So don't pick up the security card if you can get somebody else to do it, because Jan isn't doing anything. Isn't doing anything to these cameras while she's sitting here working on a terminal. You be the one taking out the cameras and have somebody else do it. And again, her skill has unlimited range, so you can take out cameras anywhere. There's so many. You really gotta look for them. Opening the bag from the supply zombie gives your team 15 seconds.
Works for me.
And it gives you a bunch of cool sprays. Oh, and on the topic of sprays, let's talk about sprays. This is probably for the newer players out there. If you're not familiar, there's two ways to use sprays. You can go into your inventory, and then you use the spray, right? So you just kind of stand still and you're locked in the inventory. The better way to use sprays is to put them as a shortcut. And then once they're used as a shortcut, you can walk around and use them. So So that's really helpful for when you want to pick up down teammates with a first aid spray. And if you go ahead and happen to run into one of these GM79s, go ahead and pick it up if you have a Mastermind that's using lickers, because these things are basically a one-hit kill on a licker. They're super effective against lickers. This one's really important as well, especially for the newer folks. You see that objective right there? Well, you should make sure you take out this camera before you start doing that objective, so you take it out. Well, now if you're Jan here and you're running instant, you can still attack the camera as it's recovering. So you can go ahead and use instant again,
out this camera.
or use lockdown, and you can keep the camera down. On top of that, you can continuously shoot it, which will slow down its progress.
Fuck,
The Mastermind can only hurt you if they can see you. So if you're doing something to make it so that this camera doesn't come back, you're doing your team a big favor. And Jan isn't the only one that can shoot cameras. Everybody on the team can shoot cameras, including the melee guys. If you're going up against a high poison build or a high guns build, Sam and Tyrone, they should buy guns so they can fight back. Come on, there it is. Timed him up just right, perfect.
I confess, I did not expect to be so successful.
Sometimes what you do is you try to get the camera ready in case they switch to it, which I expected them to switch to it because I just tickled the other camera. And then you just blast him before he can switch off of it and you get free time. So this one's more of an etiquette thing. There's gonna be times where you explore an area of the map and you're the only one to go there. Well, pick some of that stuff up because it could be useful for your teammates. Jan is only running guns here, but I found some repair kits on the way. So put those items where other people are gonna see them before they leave. Or something you can do is you can call them over there. Place an item on the ground here and then be like, hey,
Let's go.
right here,
Come on.
right here, right here.
Now.
A lot of people will catch on and know that you're dropping something for them. This is really good if you want to get Becca on ATM, you want to drop some repair kits for Sam, or let's say Sam wants to drop some ammo. Put them where people are going to see him. You know, maybe not right on the stairs, actually. So put them where people are going to see him before they walk out. Because if you just place it right on the box right here, not only is that going to be really, really annoying, let's say you drop something right here and you're accidentally picking up ammo instead of going into the box, it'll also just be in their faces. And now speaking of areas that you should go ahead and investigate for, you should find the blind spots. If you're the survivor, one of your biggest friends are blind spots. Let's say you want to take out this biocore. It's all lit up, right? Well, this guy's gonna look at you. And heck, maybe that one over there is gonna look at you. What you should do is you should go put yourself in a situation where you don't got to deal with cameras. There's a bunch of these on all the maps. So in this map in particular, you see there's a camera right over here, and there's a camera right over here. There's a camera right over here. Well, you know where none of those cameras can see you? None of them can see you right here. So you can just start pouring into this biocore right here, and you don't have to risk the Mastermind being able to reach you. Only way he's going to be able to get you is if he controls a creature and goes after you. Go find these blind spots. They're great for clearing objectives, they're great for picking up teammates, and they're great just in case you need some downtime from the Mastermind. Now, on the topic of finishers. Finishers are a special animation that you can do with a melee weapon, and when that finisher is happening, you get iframes, meaning you don't take damage. And you can't get swiped at, you can't get bit. On top of that, you don't use up any durability while you're doing the finisher. So take a look. Boing! You see how that final hit didn't reduce his durability at all? And on top of that, when he was in the middle of that animation, if anything would have tried to have attacked him, he wouldn't have been hit by it. On the topic of iframes, pressing that button to get into the safe room is going to give you iframes. All you got to do is tap the button, and then that entire animation of you going into the door, you're going to be safe. So that could be really helpful if Nemesis is about to blow you up with a rocket, or somebody's about to do a lot of damage to you. You get a bunch of iframes just by going in and out of the safe room door. So you see that objective ahead of us there? One of the terminals? Now take a look at the minimap. It's not on the minimap, is it? Now if I go ahead and I aim at it, the little icon pops up, and now it's on the minimap. So if you happen to find the objective for your team, you should aim at it and mark it, and that'll make it so that everybody on your team knows what the objective is. So now let's talk about how to counter each one of these Mastermind bioweapons, because they all have a specific super weapon. Oh, Mr. Goose is on PC. They all have a specific super weapon that you can go ahead and counter if you know what you're doing. So let's go ahead and start with the net. So you see Mr. Gherkin here? When he's enraged, that eyeball comes out of his shoulder, right? So let's say he grabs. If you go ahead and you shoot his eyeball while somebody's being grabbed, that is another way to get them to drop whoever they're crushing. You don't have to throw a grenade. You can either use a marked fire mine, or you can shoot him in the eye and maybe shoot him in the head, but the eye is probably your best bet. So now trust me when I say that this is Mr. X. I know it looks like a goose, but it's Mr. X. Mr. X can grab using pulverize. The way you get him to drop somebody that he's pulverizing is either a grenade, a Martin fire mine, or you can shoot him in the head a bunch. A bunch of headshots are going to make it so that he drops whoever he's holding. And if you want to, and you're feeling willing and able, each one of these Mastermind bioweapons has about 12,000 to 15,000 health. You can take down this bioweapon and gain 15 seconds for your team and stun it for a long period of time if you do enough damage to it. Another thing on the topic of Mr. X is take a look at his hook punches. If you're really in a bind, pay attention to his punches. He alternates. So if he's trying to corner you with punches like this, figure out which way he's going to punch next and then dodge around it. And now for Yottaveo. Frankly, you should just kill Yottaveo because he's a big wuss. If you have a Becca on your team, use your ultimate. Yottaveo's going down in less than 5 seconds. Pretty much any of the Yottaveos. But let's say Yottaveo's grabbing somebody like this, and you don't have a Molotov. The way you typically get him to drop is using a Molotov, right? But you see that little red ball floating right there?
Even the perfect.
The one on the ground, right there. If you shoot that while he's grabbing somebody, not only is that going to cause Yottaveo to drop whoever he's grabbing, if you shoot out a bunch of them here, it can actually disable Devour for a little bit. So this is a really easy way to counter a grab from Yottaveo. Just keep shooting those little red bulbs on the ground. One of the things you can do to counter Nemesis is, you know when he uses Exterminate? Well, if he hits you with that,
as they say,
you're going down.
Without torture, there is
right?
no science.
So one of the things that you can do to counter Nemesis when he's in his Exterminate mode is you get really, really close to him. So I'm going to show you an example here. You see how Jan's right here? Well, if I use Exterminate next to Jan, I can't get a direct hit on her. So if you see Nemesis pull out this rocket and you're in a compromised position, sometimes your best option is to just run right next to him because he can't aim low enough. Go give the best way to counter Nemesis is to give him a hug sometimes. And a really good idea before you start doing an objective, take out the cameras. This guy's not pressuring us a whole bunch. But by clearing that a little bit, makes our jobs way easier. Oh my lord! This is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Get close, give him a hug! Oh my god, see, that's why I gotta give Nikolai a hug when he spawns in Nemi, because you're way more likely to survive. And now I've been showing you a weak spot on every single bioweapon. Gherkin's eye, Mr. X's head, Yottaveo's bulbs. The weak spot on Nemesis is that chest canister. If you shoot that a bunch, he's gonna fall right over. This here is specifically something you can do to Gherkin. Now, if you have the core right here, some Gherkins get a little grab happy. So let's say you grab Jan here. This animation takes a long time. Very long time, especially if Sam is on the survivor team. So you can go ahead and kind of time this out for a little while, let him grab for a little bit, and then save her at the last second with a grenade. And that'll give you a good, what, 7.5 seconds, almost 10 seconds of being able to clear the core while he's preoccupied. Because if you free Jan right away, well, then Gherkin's gonna start swinging at you again. Go ahead and let him grab somebody for a little bit. Clear the core and then save her. Or at least save her at the very last second so you can buy yourself some free time. Ooh, you see that? If you're in a position where that guy's about to scream, or let's say Nemesis is about to scream, and you can't get out of there in time, if you get on the other side of the door, you're gonna make it so he doesn't stun you. So pretty much any sort of collision that you can find in order to prevent that from happening, go ahead and save your butt in a tough situation. Just like that, just get behind something. It'll save you in a lot of different situations. You're not always gonna be able to make it to the other side of the doorway. So if you can find any sort of collision in the way, that'll make it so the scream goes right past you. In this game, a headshot is a headshot, even if it doesn't do damage. Meaning, take a look at Becca's skill here. It says headshotting creatures extends skill duration by 3 seconds per hit. This is in the zone, it's one of her variants. This concept also applies to debuffs. Let's say a creature has Regen and a Berserker and Poison on it. If you're hitting it in the head and it has a helmet on, it's still gonna get debuffed. So let me show you what I mean. Take a look in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm gonna use up her skill right now. Let's take out his leg. See, now he's on the ground. You can farm his head to keep her ultimate back up. Take a look at that. And you can just keep doing this. You can make her last for a really long time. And what's nice is he gets stunned when you do that, so he'll stay there. So you can just make this last for a really long time. Let's say you got a lot of work to do over here. On top of the headshots you'll get on them, you can also go ahead and just keep coming back to this guy. He can be your little meat wagon that you can just go ahead and keep farming. farming off of here. So keep that in mind. If there's a big swarm around you, let's say there's a big Spencer swarm or a big Annette swarm, this is a really nice way to go ahead and keep your ultimate up and take out a really, really big problem in front of you. You can make this last for a really, really, really long time. As long as you're farming his head properly. See? All the way back up. Good to go again. Something you should do when you're survivor and you have your survivors behind you, just stand in the doorway. Why would you stand in the doorway? If you have your teammates over there and you're trying to get over there as a team and you got here first, or let's say you have a teammate in here doing an objective and you need them to get back out here when they're done with their objective, if you stand in the doorway, the Mastermind cannot lock the door. One of the things I like to do is, especially when I'm being chased by a bioweapon, is I like to throw a grenade at the ground, and then that saves me out of a grab. So like this guy right here, he's probably gonna grab me, right? So I threw it at the ground and then I was able to free myself because of it. Same thing applies when you are going up against bioweapons like Gherkin or Mr. X. When they grab you, it makes it so that you're able to escape their grasp and then run away from them. Well, I have 4 first aid sprays, so I should be okay here.
Get it over with. Stop resisting.
Ooh, buddy. I'm in trouble. 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 Ooh, I'm in trouble. Oh my god, that saved me. Throw a grenade when you're going to be in trouble. It'll help you. But if he's running elusiveness, you can pretty much just like run through the whole thing, and then all the creatures get really fascinated with him, and they're not going to be able to bite him. They all just get really confused about him. You see that? They like don't know what they're doing. And eventually one of them's going to try to grab him. But they all get really confused. And since elusiveness makes it so he can't get grabbed when he's running, you can get away with really beating up on a whole pile of zombies. So here's an example of how you get more time out of traps. So you see a bunch of traps here, right? You see like, what, 5 traps? Well, if I shoot out the trap, that's a good way to make it so you don't step on it. But if you shoot out the trap, you get 10 seconds, and then all the other ones blow up because you did an explosive trap. So over here, I have it set up where there's still an explosive trap, and we have a bunch of other traps. And a way to get way more time out of these things, if your Mastermind is piling up traps, is to go ahead and throw a grenade at it. And you get a ton of time. You'll blow up every single one of them. Instead of the mine blowing everything up, you blew it all up. So you get a ton of time. You get time for every single mine, which is really good if you're going up against a trap Mastermind. So you see Valerie coughing here? Something you can do to make it so you don't cough. Like, we're level 3 infection now, right? Something you can do to prevent the coughing is sit in your menu. So let's say you are at the umbrella box and you're waiting for Valerie to go ahead and get rid of your infection. You're playing Sam or something. If you sit here like this, you can make it so you're not coughing, because every time you cough, you lose 5 seconds and you lose health. Sitting in the menu prevents that. So that's a little trick that I'm not sure is intended, but it definitely works. Or let's just say you're waiting at the exit. You're not going to cough. And then speaking of exits, something you do with Valerie here. Do you see how I'm infected? Well, if you use this right here, and then put this in here, you can go to the next area, and you are getting rid of infection and you're healing through the animation here. So it saves you a little bit of time. It's a little bit more efficient. Just gotta shoot back. Oh, wow. So yeah, you can get underneath these turrets, right? This thing can't even see me. You just sit right underneath it. And then you can just shoot it out. And it's an easy 20 seconds. Won't even stare at me. Never even recognized I was there. Doesn't even see you when you're underneath it. And there's a whole lot of cameras that you can do that with. Not everyone, but a whole lot of them. Oh, another one. So you get credits in between core kills. So on area 3, you should definitely be looking at the box to keep restocking. Because sometimes you can run out on your supplies when you're taking down the cores, but they replenish you as you go too. Oh my god, it's shooting after Tyrone instead. That's hilarious. Good guy Tyrone doing the body blocking. Something you can do is body block. You definitely can. It's a tactic to go ahead and block turret shots or block controlled shots. And make sure the tall guys do the body blocking. Val's really short, so Tyrone can do a body block. Oh! Something you can do against a machine gun is you can stun lock it. Like I said, with a high fire rate weapon. See how he gave up on it? It's because he wasn't able to shoot with it. So you can do that with the machine gun, and you can also do it with the MQ-11. Those guns are made for that. Close the door! Always close the door behind you when you're being chased by a guy who wants to kill you. Chad, if you're going up against lickers and you don't want to deal with them, you can go the other way. Want to know a way to counter them? Just close the door. Lickers can't open doors, so you may as well just go the other direction if you can. Or if you just want to make it so you don't have to deal with them, just close the door. Make sure you always check for traps on the stairs. Masterminds love putting traps on the stairs. I don't know what this one's doing down here, but make sure you check for traps on the stairs. Valerie's in trouble. We should go help her. We're all sitting here on the objective. You always got to go help out your teammates. If you sit there and just wait and you leave a teammate behind, there's probably a reason why they can't get to you. So you got to go help out your teammates. Ooh, the Ivy's back. Something you can do to these Ivies. You see these little bulbs? If you shoot out each one of his bulbs, there we go. Come on. It'll cause him to fall down for a while. He's probably going to take a nap. Yep. So he's got 3 of them. If you shoot all of them out, he's going to go sleepy for a while until he grows them back. That's an option if you don't have any fire to go ahead and kill the Ivy. The only way you're going to kill it is if you have fire. But you can try shooting out the bulbs if you need to buy a little bit of time. We should have closed this on him.
Nerd power!
Ooh, it worked. Something you can do if you got a bioweapon chasing you is just go ahead and lock him on the other side of a lift. And do what you can to stun him there. You see how we can just like lure these lickers back into the spawn? He had them preset it up there, but you can lure them out and then just bring them back to the safe room door. You got to put your lickers on like the other side of the map, otherwise that's going to happen to you because survivors can just bait everything out. Now I've talked in depth in my Valerie videos about Valerie Scan. We know that Valerie Scan does 20% more damage to cores and 40% more damage to creatures when they're marked. But what you don't see inside the description of that skill is that you should be using it as a recon or a scouting type of skill. Go ahead and scan when you're on a door that you think is, you know, possibly dangerous on the other side. It gives you an idea of exactly where things are going to be so you can plan your attack when you go on in. So something Valerie can do here, yeah, you see how she scans through the blindness? It's really helpful so we can see what's going on. Something that might help you out if you're going up against Spencer. Spencer has the ability to make fake pieces in Area 1. One way to know if you have the correct kind of piece is, one, you could pay attention to the title when it introduces what pieces you got to pick up. But something that might be a little more useful to you is when you pick one of these up and put it in your inventory.
I cannot sit idly by while you attempt to
You see how the little icon turned blue on the top of the screen? If you're going up against Spencer and you pick up a fake piece, it's not going to turn blue. So that way you know you got a fake piece. However, if it does turn blue, you know you got yourself a real piece. When you're clearing a trap, don't clear it right here, because it might blow up and hit you. Don't clear it when a teammate's right next to it either. Clear it when you're backed up a little bit. Because if I would have been standing next to it, it would have hurt me, and I wouldn't have gotten as much time back. Just step back a little bit, then take it out. And that brings up the point of, we got 10 minutes on the clock, and sometimes you're just further ahead to not save your teammate. Where are they all at? They're all scattered about. And Valerie's putting herself in a vulnerable position, trying to save me. You should just let me die, because it's not worth the time, because there's a chance that Valerie's going to get hit now.
Hey, looky-loo, turning off the camera. Don't fuck with me.
What is Valerie doing? Where is she? Oh, Lord. Are you lost? Okay, so in the situation where she's lost, I think we should go try to help her. Yeah, she's like up there. She doesn't know how to get over here, so let's go try to help her. Come on, Val. Come help your teammates. They get lost, you gotta give them a hand sometimes. Unless Valerie can get him off. Ooh, she did! All right, let me put mine in. Let's roll. Whoa! Oh yeah, something right there to keep in mind is you want to make sure somebody's on the exit when it hits overtime, because then you'll automatically go to the next area. So take a look at the bottom left-hand corner. You'll see a little biohazard icon. It's almost all the way filled up. That's her infection level. Well, once you reach infection level 1, it is guaranteed that you're going to cough and that you're gonna be losing 5 seconds and you're gonna lose health. It's a horrible thing for survivors. Take a look at this. So she just got infected. Now she's sitting here vulnerable to the zombie. She almost took damage there. So something you can do instead is, since we know that no matter what, once you reach level 1 infection, you're gonna cough and you're gonna lose 5 seconds and you're gonna take damage, you may as well avoid that entirely. So just pay attention to your infection gauge. Unless you're saving your blue herb for something special, you may as well go ahead and just eat right now. And that'll keep yourself from coughing. And look at that, that was close. I almost went to level 1 anyway. So by getting that blue herb in my system, you get rid of your infection and you don't have to deal with all those negative consequences. Heal it before it happens. So this one here is actually a mastermind tip. If you guys want to see a mastermind tips video, let me know in the comments, but I'm going to show you what this tip is, and then I'm also going to show you how to counter it as a survivor. So something that happens a lot is masterminds will do elevator games. So I'll show you what I mean. Elevator's about to go up, or the lift is about to go up, and what you can do with the jester is you time it, and then right as they're about to come up, you scream, and then that'll stun the survivors, and then you can hit this and charge in with your jester and just start beating on them. And that'll make it so that they can't get up there, and they have to waste a bunch of time killing your zombie, then running on back, putting the lift up again, trying to go back up, and then repeating the process if you have a couple of jesters. Now, there is a way to counter that, and I'm going to show you how to counter that with a survivor. Now, to understand how to counter those zombies that are going to be sitting at the top of the lift, I want you to pay attention to the lift. See how we hit the lift, and it's going to rise up. And you're going to see it stop. But then you'll notice it takes a little bit of time for it to be available to tap again. So that moment that you have where it's sitting there recovering, that's when you can go ahead and counter the zombies. So let's try to do it for reals now. You see this right here? I'm gonna go tap this. You're heading to this direction, right, where all these zombies are? Well, you get a flashbang ready, and you toss it over. You back up a little bit before they can scream. Look at that, he started screaming, I was backed up, and I'm good to go. And then you can go here and start blasting. If I could leave you with one more bit of advice on playing Survivor, I would say sometimes you should just slow down. A lot of times I see survivors just rush, and they'll run into a zombie grab, they'll run into traps, they'll run into an immobilizing shot. Take your time. You lose more time by making mistakes than you do by taking it slow. Take your time, look at the ground, look up, make sure there's nothing there trying to get you, and then just do your objective. Work with your team and do your objective. We stream just about every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. We play this game a bunch. We try out builds. We come up with tips for you guys. If you want to be a part of those streams, links in the description. I would love to see you over there. And with that, I hope this really helped you guys. I want to do one of these for Mastermind. If you'd like to see me do one for Mastermind, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are the best, and I'll see you in the next one that we do around here.